to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jay with your NXT review, and I have to say, it's been quite an eventful couple of days as far as this podcast has gone, for me anyway. So yeah, the other day I'm listening to Matt's Week in Review show, and I hear that he's looking for a new NXT review host. And I was like, well, I kind of like to get into podcasting. So I emailed him and I said, you know what, I may be interested. And he said, okay, well, send me a demo. So I sat in a parking lot of a Dollar Tree and I laid down some information and sent it to him. And he's like, sounds pretty good. You got the job. So here I am. And this is my first ever NXT review, and I have to tell you, I'm a bit nervous, so bear with me today. It is first thing in the morning on September, oh my gosh, it's only September 18th. I'm reviewing the show for September 17th on the USA Network. Some of you may ask, well, what makes you an expert on wrestling? Like, how can you come and talk about the NXT show? You know, what gives you the authority? You know what? Nothing. Nothing gives me the authority. You know who I am? I'm a wrestling fan just like every other one of you. And I enjoy the show. I watched it when I was a kid. I watched it through the Attitude Era. I stopped watching it around 2001. For about 20 years, and I came back to it in 2022. I tried to watch it during the COVID era, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. The not having the fans there, it wasn't the same. So in 2022, I started watching, and actually it was the Bray Wyatt return. I just happened to turn that PLE on, and the Bray Wyatt return basically sucked me back in back then. So anyway. That's the answer to your question. I don't have any authority to talk about wrestling in any professional standpoint. I'm not a former wrestler. I'm not anything to do with the business. I'm just a fan, and these are my thoughts. And if you agree with them, great. And if you don't, let me know. There's a comment section. Feel free to use it. I'm a Patreon fan for the WWE Podcast, just like you guys are if you're on Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, you should be on Patreon. If not, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the things. Listen to it. Matt does a great job. Amanda does a great job. Anthony, everybody. It's a great... WWE Podcast is great, and if you're listening to it and you have friends that watch wrestling, put them onto it too. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into the show. So, the show was on September 17th, 2024, from the WWE Performance Center in Winter Park, Florida. The commentators, as always, is Vic Joseph and Booker T. And you know what? Since this is the first episode, I'm going to give you my opinions on basically everything. I like Vic Joseph. I think he does a great job. I think that he does the job that he needs to do, and he's perfect for the venue. Booker T, I like, but he sometimes the over-the-top stuff drives me insane. I'm not gonna lie. I think sometimes his theatrics takes away from the actual product itself. And I'm not saying I don't want Booker T to do the commentary. I'm saying that I want him to tone it down just a bit. Please, just sometimes. You don't have to do the squacky docky duck or whatever he says. I don't even know what he says. Just let the product speak for itself sometimes. But I know that's his job. I just sometimes think it's a little too much. Anyway, The first thing that happened on the show was the contract signing. And again, I'm going to talk about everything today. Let's talk about contract signings. I don't care whether it's on Monday Night Raw. I don't care if it's on SmackDown. I don't care if it's on NXT. I don't care if it's on any indie promotion. Contract signings, it's a pain. It's hard to watch. Last night, to be fair, last night's contract signing at least had a little bit of a twist, which was nice. But generally speaking, contract signings is just an excuse for someone to be put through a table. That's it. And do they think that we're like naive enough to think that this is a real contract signing? Like, no. You're telling this guy that he's fighting this guy. That's the end of the story. So, I don't really like contract signings at all, period. Let alone, it just, like I said, last night was a little bit of a twist on it. It was great. But did somebody end up going through a table? Yes. Ethan Page came out and ended up throwing Trick Williams through a table, as we all suspected that would be the case. That somebody would be going through. Most likely it's the babyface that goes to the table, and that's what happened. The babyface went through the table. And then, because of all of the shenanigans that happened, nobody signed the contract. And the rest of the night was about nobody signing the contract. And how are they going to sign the contract? Trick Williams, I'm going to sign the contract. And Ethan Page was never heard from again until the end of the show. So anyway, the contract signing, that didn't happen. Moving on. And by the way, as far as Ava goes, I don't particularly care for Ava. What is the word? Nepotism? I think the only reason why she's in a job that she's in is because her father. If you don't know who her father is, it's The Rock. I don't particularly think that she's good. And this is not about anything except just the fact that I don't care for her. I love Nick Aldis. I love Adam over the other, on Raw. I love them. I just think that she's cringy. I'm not gonna lie. She feels a bit cringy to me. Okay, so after the contract signing, then we have our first match, which is Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley versus Wendy Choo and Rosemary. And I know a lot of the main roster guys have been coming down to lend their hands to NXT, and I have to tell you, they do it very well. Like, they're not coming down to face each other; they're coming down to enhance the people around them. And Lyra is one of them. I have to be honest. When Lyra came down when Lyra was called up from NXT to Raw, I was a little leery. I wasn't sure if she was ready yet. She's doing a great job, but I like that she comes back down and pays respect to the younger talent too. And I love Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley is she's crazy, she's goofy, she's pretty decent looking. I think she's a great wrestler. And the match was between them and Wendy Choo and Rosemary. Wendy Choo and Rosemary are just, their characters are great. Like, I just get a kick out. Like, when Wendy Choo does the face with the head turn, like, just stoic face with the makeup on, like, it's great. It's great. It was a good match. First half of the match before the commercial was just okay. But the match got cooking after the commercial, and in the end, Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria ended up getting the win. And Tatum Paxley's finisher is great. Like, I love her finisher. If you ever get a chance to take a look at it, if you saw the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the show, go back and watch it. It's actually pretty cool. Like, it's different. It's not the same run-of-the-mill, finisher that everybody does. Then we get backstage, and Trick Williams is telling the interviewer, Sarah, that he's going to have the contract signed by the end of the night. That was it. That was the segment. Then Xavier Heights comes out, and he's in great spirits, and he's talking about the wrestling tournament that he did and making a name for himself. And then they talk about having a match later that night, and then Ren Sinclair comes out and Charlie Dempsey says, you need to go out and make a name for yourself, and that's going to come back later in the show. So the second match was Tony D'Angelo versus with the family. The family was there against Hammerstone, and this match ended weird. I love the character of Tony D'Angelo, the Don of NXT, but I think they did him dirty last night. I'm not gonna lie, they made him seem weak. I know I'm waiting for the storyline. Shawn Michaels does a great job with NXT. I'm not gonna second guess him, but like, he walks out of the match, and then later on tells Rizzo that he's scared. That he's scared of Obafemi, basically. Which, really? Obafemi's freaking awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's amazing. He, interestingly, wasn't on the show last night, which is odd, because usually he's on every week, causing chaos. But yeah, no, the whole thing with Tony D'Angelo walking out, he ended up losing on a count out because he just walked out and left. It was just, it was interesting. I don't know. It didn't really resonate with me. After the match, we have Zachary Wentz came out from the Rascals from TNA. Zachary Wentz comes out, basically tells Wesley that, on October 1st, they're ending the feud. So they're going to wrestle each other on October 1st, which is, incidentally, if you don't know at this point, it's October 1st is the first day of being in Chicago. If you are watching NXT at all, then you obviously know that at this point. The Chicago event, and I cannot wait to review it. The Chicago event looks like fire. It looks amazing, and I cannot wait to see that event. And to be honest, at this point, the St. Louis event the week after looks great too. So, and I have my thoughts about that, which about the move to CW, which I'll talk about in a second. Then after that, after the Zach Wentz promo, we have backstage, and Ava's talking in her office to Therese Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers, and Therese says, "Don't worry, he'll get the contract signed." So we'll see how that goes. And then Sarah does another interview backstage with the Fatal Influence, which is the three ladies, JC Jane, what's her name? Fallon Henley, and the other person, I don't remember her name, to be honest. So they're talking about how they're going to go through different people, that Lola Vice, Jada Parker, which, by the way, Lola Vice and Jada Parker are awesome. Like, they're both awesome. Okay, then we have a match with Eddie Thorpe and Ashanti the Adonis. It was okay. That's it. It really wasn't anything. A lot of the matches tonight were kind of lackluster. They focused so much on the contract signing and backstage stuff. There was a lot of backstage stuff. So that match was just okay. Ended up, I got lost here for a second. I'm sorry. Let's see. Ended up that Eddie Thorpe got the win via pinfall. That was it. Like I said, it wasn't a great match, but it took up some time, I guess. Next, there was a vignette about Chase University and how much they write about that. About Rich Holland and putting, and Adrian Chase and Duke Hudson on the shelf for a little while. So, and there's that. Then the best in the world comes out, CM Punk. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did not see the CM Punk back in the early 2010s. So this year, last year, has been a fresh look at CM Punk for me. I think he's really cool. I love the stuff with Drew McIntyre. So CM Punk comes out. says how much he loves NXT, talks about, has a major announcement to make, and then Roxanne Perez comes out. She fangirls all over CM Punk for a little while, says how much she loves him, how the 12-year-old version of her would be great if she's in the ring with CM Punk, and then goes on to say how much that she realizes that she should have been a Drew McIntyre fan, which was pretty funny, and the look on CM Punk's face was pretty funny. And basically he starts insulting her about Julia, and then Julia comes out, says like 2 lines, because I don't think she speaks much English. I think she just speaks Japanese. And then that's it. It's over. And he never actually makes the announcement, which again will come up later. So it was okay. Roxanne Perez, I actually like Roxanne Perez, but she's getting a bit annoying, to be honest. I think she needs to be knocked off her high horse by somebody. And it really should have been Jordynne Grace. And I listen, the partnership between TNA and NXT has done exactly for me. It's done exactly what it said it was going to do. I've watched not a lot. I don't have the Access channel, so I don't watch a lot of TNA. But I watched a little bit of it, as much as I could. And I love Jordynne Grace. She's going to be, I hope, she's going to be bound for WWE main roster. Love Joe Hendry. Love the character. Love going back and doing a deep dive and seeing some of the stuff from the past. Joe Hendry is not like a... He said it the one day against Ethan Page. He's not a flash in the pan. He came in 10 years ago. There's actually no video clip of him playing a lawyer in WWE for one episode of Monday Night Raw. So that was pretty fun. So the partnership has done what it's provided good entertainment on NXT, and it's gotten my eyes, albeit not a lot, but still gotten my eyes to TNA. And I know more that TNA exists. So that was my little aside as far as TNA goes. Let's see. So, all right. Had a bit of a technical difficulty, but I am back. Still having technical difficulties. I apologize. So next we have an interview in the back with Sarah, with the interviewer Sarah and Kalani Jordan. Basically, Kalani Jordan does an interview, talks trash about various people, and then Ren Sinclair comes in, and she says, "I was told by Charlie Dempsey to make an impact, so I'm going to make an impact," and basically slaps Kalani Jordan across the face, which actually was pretty funny. And then she just runs away. It was funny because it really wasn't expected, and then all of a sudden she just runs. It was interesting. It comes to pass later on, actually, too. So the match after that, I apologize. Like I said, I'm having some technical difficulties, but we're getting there. Then we got Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander versus Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. This was later on with the North Quarter Catch crew. It was a good match. Javon Evans, he's 18 years old, and he's amazing. He's amazing. And Cedric Alexander's, he's a veteran. He's a veteran. And Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights were great, but Javon Evans just steals the show, and actually you can tell because later on, so earlier in the night, Javon Evans asked about getting a match in St. Louis because the Chicago card on October 1st was getting filled, but October 8th in St. Louis was still available, and he was like, "Well, I'll let you know," and so. And so later on, after the match is over, there's a tweet from everybody. They show a tweet from Randy Orton that basically says, "Okay, Javon Evans, do you want a match? It's going to be with me." So, by the way, the winner of the match the match itself was Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. The match was okay. Javon Evans was great, and then the after with they're very happy about that. So that's it. After that, Ridge Holland made a promise that he was going to end Chase University. There's 2 down and 1 to go, and next week Ridge is going to go against Riley Osborne. So we'll see how that is. All the time, Thea Hale crying. Thea Hale's great. I love Thea Hale. She's if you ever see her running around ringside, man, she's crazy. Like, I love it. Like, it's she just, like, she must be tired after she did. And then again, she's young. She's like 20 years old. Anyway. In the back, Brooks Jansen comes in and they do a match with Brooks Jansen and Deion Lennox. Deion Lennox, I don't know. Brooks Jensen's okay. He does this thing, and eventually Jensen wins via pinfall. Again, the match, it was just okay. The match was just okay. There was a lot of just okay matches. I mean, for my first NXT review, I have to be honest, there was a lot of just okay matches. But they're setting up, a lot of it is setting up for October 1st and October 8th. And I understand that, and it is what it is. It's fine. Then we have Wesley coming on and saying that that he attacked Trey. They showed it earlier in the night. They showed a video of Trey getting in his car and being attacked by Wesley at his home or something like that. So basically, they're saying that Wes is looking forward to seeing Zach in Chicago. Anyway, then we talked about next week at NXT. Axiom and Nathan Frazier are going to. So Axiom and Nathan Frazier were challenged by A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory, and my God, I forgot his name. Wow, Grayson Waller. Sorry. They were challenged by them, and it was accepted by Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And then later on, we find out that Axiom and Nathan Frazier are going to be on a very special Grayson Waller effect. So there's the Grayson Waller effect that's coming back to NXT. If you were concerned that would ever happen again, well, your concerns have been alleviated. The Grayson Waller effect will be on NXT next week, and we can all be excited for that. Okay. Then we have a match with Lola Vice and JC Jane. I love Lola Vice. Lola Vice is just like, originally she annoyed me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, originally she annoyed the crap out of me, but with all of her dancing and stuff. But like, she's really good. She's really good. Jada Parker's really good. Like, the two of them, and at the end, Jada Parker comes in to save her from the three. Lola Vice ends up winning the match. But Jada Parker comes out to save her from a beatdown by the three ladies. I forgot what they're called again. Yeah. It's pure something. I know that's the other group on Raw. I know the names of these. There's so many women's trios and all of the shows. I can't get them all straight. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. I love Jada Parker. I think Jada Parker and Lola Vice, they're gonna be big in the future. I honestly think that, and that's what NXT is for. NXT is for propping people up and making them big in the future. Like, that's what it's there for. So, anyway, moving on. So Lola Vice wins via pinfall, and then a little vignette between Tony D'Angelo and Rizzo. And Tony D'Angelo is going to do better or something. I don't know. The whole thing with Tony D'Angelo tonight was just weird. And finally, we have the contract signing, and we got Tyrese Halliburton in the ring, calls them both out. He says he's going to get him to sign. He does. They end up signing, and then as Tyrese is leaving, he says, "Oh, and one more thing, hit the music," and then CM Punk comes back out again, and he says, "I got interrupted so rudely by Roxanne Perez. I never got to make my announcement. My announcement is this match between Trick Williams and Ethan Page needs something bigger than just a regular match, so now I'm going to be the special guest referee." And if you look at Ethan Page's face, he was not having any of it. Like, he was not happy. I don't watch AEW. I never have, and I probably never will, to be honest. They can bring in Edge or Adam Copeland or whatever. They can bring in all these guys that I used to watch in WWE, but I don't particularly care for the product. I have a feeling that there's a history between Ethan Page when he was in AEW and CM Punk when he was in AEW. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And if I'm not wrong, tell me about it in the comments. Because I just don't know. I'm a fan of WWE. I don't watch AEW, and I dabble in TNA. That's it. That sounded really weird. Anyway, moving on. So then Punk goes, and because I'm the referee, you guys can do it. You guys can start fighting now, and they start fighting, and then a bunch of people in black, wearing all black, come in and separate Ethan Page, and then they go to the end of the show. Anyway, so that's my review. Overall, it was a decent show. It was for NXT. Listen. If you listen to this podcast, it means you watch NXT. You know that the show wasn't as good as it has been. It's a lot of setup for the CW switchover. Here's the thing about the CW switch. So last night the show ended at about 10:06, 10:07, right? So they had the extra 7 minutes or so. That's not going to happen on CW. CW has the same time constraints as Fox. When 2 hours hits. They have to move on. It's a network television station. There's positives to it. They're on network TV, free TV if you have an antenna. But on the flip side, once 2 hours hits, there's no leeway. You gotta go. It's not like USA. It's not like Netflix. When Netflix comes on, I'm sure Netflix will have leeway in their times. But you have to, you're done. So they got to get all the things done that they're doing. They got to get all the things that they're doing done in 2 hours. I'm sure that's been thought of, but it's something to think about for us too, because hopefully we don't get shortchanged. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little worried about that, because there's a lot going on in NXT. There's 5 champions that have to defend, week to week. Or at least have storylines told about. I mean, Omofemi wasn't there, but he was discussed. So, anyway, let me know what you think about this podcast. I apologize. I did have a little bit of technical difficulties. I will alleviate them in the future. But generally speaking, I think I did pretty good. Like I said, I'm just a fan. If you haven't so far, listen to the WWE podcast. I love I'm a fan of Matt. I've listened to this podcast since for about a year now on Apple Podcasts. The last couple of months I've been a Patreon member, and I listen on Patreon because, to be honest, the ads. I'm driving. I want to listen to the podcast without having to skip, and that's kind of dangerous. So I spent the $5. There's multiple tier levels. I chose the SmackDown level. That's just me. Or on Spotify. So. And there's memberships on Apple Podcasts. Check it out. So, please leave me comments. Please leave me comments, and I will read all of them, and I will probably respond to most of them that I get, depending on how many there are. Once again, this is Jay for the NXT review. I will see you next week, and I can't wait for the future. Let's see what happens. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.